Hi everybody. Today I am taking a look at the Dreambook planner. It's actually called the Rituals for Living Dreambook Plus Planner. That's a mouthful. This is an example of Instagram marketing at its finest. This kept showing up in my stories, when you're flipping through your stories and you're seeing stories from people, and then there'll be an ad, and then there'll be stories from people, and then there'll be an ad. Well, this was one of those ads that for a second I thought was just a story from somebody I follow because I see so much planner shit in my stories anyway. But it was an ad and I was like, ooh, I'm looking for planners to review. This one seems interesting. So I bought it. I do get taken in by the Instagram ads from time to time. And this was one of those purchases, but I did it for you. I'm doing it for you, Damien. Anyway, so this is the Rituals for Living Dreambook Plus Planner. It is... According to the website, it will teach you how to create structure that aligns your daily actions with the vision you have for your life so that it happens now, not in some far off future. Basically, this is meant to be a planner and a goal-setting book that's kind of looking into your dreams for the future. So it's a bit of a, at least I'm assuming, a bit of a woo-woo planner. Not that there's anything wrong with that. There's a market for that, most definitely. And I have looked at quite a few super practical, clean your house planners. So who knows, maybe this one will kind of veer off into a different direction. Anyway, a little bit more information on it. It's $48. There's 3 different cover options of the same embossed cover, just different colors. I believe only one is available as of the filming of this video, and it's not this one. It's a different one. But the planner itself is 7 by 10 and the paper is 70 pound. It has wire O binding and the shipping on it was fairly quick. So there's that. So let's take a look at it. The binding is a fairly sturdy wire O. The cover is like a chipboard that's covered in kind of a textured situation. And I don't know how well you can see, but there is an embossed image on the front of like a hand with a moon and some stars. It says Dreambook and Planner. And then the back is just blank. The company it comes from is called Dragon Tree. The Dragon Tree, that's what it is. So they also sell bath and body products. Here are some little cards, information, how to join their community, etc. A little thank you card. Blah, blah, blah. What I like about these is that they're cute little quote cards on the one side, and on the back has the information. A lot of planner companies do that. Right off the bat, I can tell you this paper is like an off-white, kind of an ivory. Here is your front page of the planner that gives you some information on how to come across them in the social community, the social media world. A welcome from their founders, information about rituals and why they're important. This book is supposed to work by connecting with what's important to you, dreaming about what you might think is possible, crafting your dreams into plans for reality, then ritualizing the process to make it fun and meaningful, and then planning out your year. That's the process that they follow. And then the arrow theme is a reminder of the power of your attention. So to remind you, create space that you find important for stuff you think is important rather than what the world tells you what's important. And it says here, schedule what's most important first, always. That's their big rule. The pages are numbered up in the top corner. Here's the connect section of the planner. 6 main areas of life: physical wellness, psychological and spiritual health, creation, exploration and play, community connection, livelihood, career and influence, and relationships and family. Very similar categories to a lot of other goal planners, but I like the wording on some of these, especially the creation, exploration and play, because so much of my upcoming year is really focused on hobbies, things that are meaningful to me, not because of work, but because I just want to. I have a current acrylic painting I'm in the middle of on the easel behind me. I like the wording of that, and I may try to remember that for future things. And then here are some questions to connect you to your true desires and purpose. And you're supposed to answer these honestly. So what are you longing for when you're at the end of the life? What do you want to have accomplished? If you had 1 year left to live, would there be anything you'd want to fix or clean up? What are you ready to let go of? What do you want to explore more deeply? What would make life feel ridiculously fun? What feels really nourishing in your life? Of all the things you've done or accomplished, what has given you the deepest sense of fulfillment? And where do you find yourself not being fully present in your life? Here is some information on core values, gifts, purpose. So some potential core values for you to figure out. It's like helping you discover what your values are, what the gifts that you have are, what are your talents. And then once you've considered those, it's supposed to lead you to your purpose. And so then, now that once you know your core values, your gifts, and your purpose, then when you're trying to figure out your priorities, you can connect them to those things. They refer to them as soul drives. And then here is evaluating your self-trust. There's an entire page here about trusting yourself, like when you make agreements with yourself. 4 ways to approach the process if you plan to make new agreements that people can rely on. So be clear when defining an agreement, communicate any changes in the agreement, clean up broken agreements, and don't make too many agreements. And then the questions here for the personal assessment in terms of trying to rate how you trust yourself are about communication, dependability, time management, follow through, focus, money, health maintenance, nutrition, work performance, and values. Then this is a page to visualize your ideal life 3 years in the future if everything has worked in your favor. Now we're in the dreaming phase here, and I really love this. This is having you visualize what your life is going to look like in 3 years if everything is going your way, but it's breaking it down into those 6 categories of your life, which I find very interesting. So this first section is your livelihood, career, and influence. So the perspective of your ideal future. What is your work life like? Who are the people you work with? What is your reputation? How do you feel about money? How do you feel about paying bills? Your financial shit, the value you bring to the world. And then we go into relationships and family. So 3 years from now, what's your primary love relationship like? How do you interact with your partner? How do you problem solve with your partner? How do you approach your family life, your relationships with your family, your holiday time, your problem solving skills, your family conversations? And then 3 years in the future, what does your community connection look like? Your friendships, your conversations when you have hard times. What about the community you engage with? How are you nourished or supported by your community? And I'm glazing over these. There's a lot more than that, but all of the questions are very specific to each of these areas. For your physical wellness in 3 years, describe your beautiful body. How do you feel when you wake up? How do you feel at the end of a long day? What's your relationship with exercise like? Your sleep, your energy, your breathing, your strength and flexibility. How do you feel about aging? If you used to have any health problems, what has happened with these? Okay, that one kind of annoys me. What about people with chronic illness? I can't get rid of my health problems. Then we're into the creation, exploration, and play category, which is the one I love the name of the most. So 3 years in the future, what percentage of your life is reserved for playing, exploring, creating? How much do you travel? What forms of creative expression do you engage in? What forums do you have for exploring the topics you're passionate about? Do you have a space for doing your creative thing? What fascinates you? In what ways is your life beautiful? And then psychological and spiritual health. So 3 years into the future. Percentage of your waking life when you feel happy. What ways do you express love? How do you cultivate a more peaceful and loving experience? How do you connect to your higher self, God, or the universe? How do you feel about the state of the world? How is your self-esteem? Do you trust yourself to manage whatever happens? How do you feel about dying? So that's a very interesting exercise. A lot of times when you see one of those exercises to project your life into the future, you just sort of have to do that. And I've always struggled with those. I might have an easier time with this because it's a little bit more guided. And so then here is some mind mapping spots to craft those dreams you just came up with, a window to your true dreams. So you're supposed to be considering all of that and then go to these pages and use a mind map to project out how you might get there, the things you might need to do to bring you to those dreams, blah, blah, blah. So we have a 1 year mind map, a 3 years mind map, and a 10 years mind map, and then a lifetime mind map. Then when you looked at that, you need to break it down. So any of the goals from each mind map, so each one of these mind maps, you pick 3 goals and then ask yourself why it's important to you. And then you could start breaking it down and thinking about when you might want to complete it. So you've got space for 1-year goals, 3-year goals, 10-year goals, and lifetime goals. And again, these are you can do these mind map style. Now it says here, the first line, we finally come to the ritual part of Rituals for Living. This is where you get to make more special. So their top priority is to help you create a ritual around planning, but we encourage you to develop rituals around 1, any practice you want to become more of a fixture in your life, like exercise or cooking. 2, any everyday act that you want to enhance the specialness of, like meals or bathing. And 3, any act you want to transform into a grounding or tuning in part of your life. Some more information here about why rituals are important and using how the point of making things more special, blah, blah, blah. Some elements of ritual here have to do with using fire, words, food, beauty, garments, water, sound, scents, gathering, location, objects of significance. They actually say a lock of Bon Jovi's hair. If I had a lock of Bon Jovi's hair, I would make that part of every ritual in my life, no lie. And timing. And then there's some questions to help you reveal factors that will be natural for you to integrate into your rituals. For example, when and where are you most focused or inspired? What clothing makes you feel the best? Do you have any good treasured objects, any sounds or scents? So once you've thought about your rituals, here is your plan for the year. So what you will accomplish this year. It gives you a spot to list a bunch of projects and to put down which quarter you plan to take care of this project. And then you could set an intention for the year with a theme. This could be in place of a word of the year. And then here's a whole bunch of information on how to work your plan. And we're just going to look through these pages because I think a lot of this goes into it. It has things like project breakdowns, quarterly breakdowns, monthly calendars, blah, blah, blah. So this will give you, I'm assuming this is a reference page for all of the bits and pieces that are about to show up in the planner. So here's your quarter 1 breakdown. It gives you some ideas on how to get the ritual of your planning together. And then you want to go to the projects you want to do in this quarter and figure out which month you want to work on them in during the quarter. Then you have your project breakdowns. So, and again, it says get to your ritual for planning space. And then you want to gather all of the projects from the quarterly breakdown for January and list them here and then break down all of the tasks that are involved in the project. And it says here, each of these tasks must be an action step that can be put into your calendar. The same thing for February and the same thing for March. And each of these project breakdown pages has room for 5 projects. There's a lot happening here. This is your weekly alignment. And it looks like what this is here is an example of what this could look like. Of your weekly alignment. It just gives you everything kind of filled in here so you can see this as an example. Your weekly alignment here, and then here is your weekly planning situation. It's a lot, dude. Here's your monthly year at a glance. It's a Monday start. So January is a Monday start. It shows the moon phases. It has a bunch of different holidays in here, and it has the changeover to Aquarius. It says the moon phases are in the Eastern time zone. Small note section here on the bottom, big date on the side, and then here's your calendar. So here is that weekly alignment page not filled in, so it's a little easier to look at. Top 3 goals for the week, your focus for the week, habit tracking, rituals for living challenge. I wonder if this is different every week. Yeah, it looks like it's different. So this first one has to do with sleep optimization. Wins from last week, what I gained, how I grew, how will I reframe something I find difficult, painful, or stressful, how will I create more freedom in my life this week? And then here are a bunch of rituals for thriving that you could try and fit in sometime this week, from like exercise and meditation, journaling, going on a date, connecting with nature, organizing your space, be with friends, forgive, that sort of thing. And then this is just a blank space that you can do whatever you want with. The little example page that they had here had some to-do lists, like some yoga poses they want to do, some good deeds they want to do, some doodling. You could use this for whatever you want to. It's a dot grid. It says capture your brilliance, dream, expand, record, reflect. And then there is a quote down here on the bottom. And then here is your weekly spread. So here's your task list. At the top, it says monthly plan, incomplete from last week, life duties, and star the most important tasks. So it's these 3 things you're supposed to check for your task list: your monthly plan, things you didn't do last week, and anything for life that you have to add. And then you can put them all here, and then you can add them to your calendar. So the way that this is, so this is a Monday start with the date across the top. It has the moon phase in it. Space to mark all 4 of those habits, and they give you shapes so you know which habit is which. So like a hexagon, a circle, a square, and a star. So you get to name your habits on that page and then check them off here. You have a spot for an intention. This could be used in hourly in a whole bunch of different ways. There's 30 lines with the little like dots on it that you could put in for hourly or use as a to-do list. So with 30 lines, you could either have 15 hours worth of hour plus half hour, or you could have more than the 24 hours of the day. There's a what shall I be focused on? Where's my attention going? What perspective do I choose? How am I spending my energy? How do I affect my world? What could I let go of? What is working well for me? And there's a spot on the bottom for gratitude. So for every week, you get 2 spreads. You get the weekly alignment spread, and then you get your weekly planning spread. Then when you get to the end of the month, you get to the next month here. And it continues. Now, at the end of the quarter, you have a life edits worksheet, a time to reflect. So some reflection questions on the habits you've done, the things that you wasted time and energy on, the biggest return for you, what were the activities and rituals, things you've been procrastinating on. And then you're supposed to do the self-trust personal assessment again. And then we go to the quarter 2 breakdown, where you start doing the same thing. You go to your projects, you put down which month you're going to work on them for that quarter, and then you have your monthly project breakdowns, and we just continue on through the next quarter. At the end of the year, so the end of December, you have a reflections section, the memorable moments for the last year, challenges, how did you ritualize your goals, your health, your happiness, what worked, what didn't work, the lessons you learned, and your theme for the past year and how that panned out. Here is a list for someday maybe, things that may or may not turn out to be worth pursuing, items to add to next year's plan. So these are things you can add to over the course of the year. And then you have some notes pages in the back, which are dot grid. And then at the end of those notes pages, you have a little like love note from the founders of the planner, a blank page. And that's the end of the planner. So the columns in this planner are just under an 1.5 inches wide. So a lot of stickers that are designed for other planners may not fit very well in these columns. You might need to use smaller stickers. And then the dot grid is 5 millimeters square. So now I am going to pen test this. The paper is 70 pound. It's very smooth and kind of velvety feeling in its texture. And like I said, it's an ivory, not a pure white. And for my pen test pens, I'm using a Pentel Energel Kalina gel pen, a Pitt Artist Pen Fine Liner, Tombow Dual Brush Pen, Zig Clean Color Dot Pen, and a Zebra Mild Liner. All right, so I did check something. You need to be careful with this paper because it is so buttery smooth. The ink sits on top of it, kind of like Tomoe River paper. And so like you need to wait for it to dry before touching it. Otherwise it's going to smear. So if you're a lefty, this may not be friendly paper for you if you like to use markers. Now, when we look at the bleed through, there is some shadowing with all 3 of the markers, but no bleed. There is a light amount of ridging with the gel pen, no ridging with the fine liner, and both the gel pen and the fine liner also shadow a little bit. It's decent paper. So overall, what do I think of this planner? Okay, I'm going to be real with you. I went into this thinking I was going to be judging the shit out of it for being some hippie woo-woo bullshit, but honestly, I kind of like it. The paper is too velvety for me. I don't think this is something that I would want to use on a daily basis. The paper, just the texture of it, it's in some ways it reminds me of the older plum paper. Like this feels more satiny, like the way the plum paper used to feel. It's still smooth, the plum paper is, but it's not quite as smooth as it used to be. But this is very like kind of buttery, almost greasy. The prompts in here are pretty neat. I kind of want to sit with this planner for a bit and see if I can incorporate some of these into my daily like brain dumping and journaling. I don't know, man, but the YRO binding's fairly solid. Like, I mean, it's YRO, so it's kind of a pain in my ass, but it's a decent planner, and there's a lot in here, and it's very thoughtful. This does not feel like it half-assed. It gives you what it tells you, especially the reminders to continue your rituals. So if you're into this sort of thing, this may be a great option for you, especially if you're looking for something that combines goal setting with planning in a kind of holistic way. Don't know if I'm going to give this one away or not yet. I'm not really sure. I might give this to my kid. I might not. Just stay tuned to my YouTube community tab, because that's where all the giveaways are going to be happening. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below, planners you'd like me to take a look at, especially if you're seeing them advertised to you on social media, because that's kind of what got me with this one, and I'm not regretting it. I'm not regretting it. Let me know in the comments any suggestions you have and your thoughts on this planner. I'd love to know. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and until next time, friends, peace.